Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Shayna Cravat, and today I am going to be taking you step by step through the self-publishing process. Now, you might be wondering what qualifies me as someone who can talk about self-publishing, and to that I say, I am a self-published author 3 times over, and maybe even soon a 4th. Link in the description and more on that later. So I've done this entire process 3 times, soon to be 4, and honestly, I'm making this video not just for you, but for me when I have to self-publish my next book. Now, I'm not going to be covering every conceivable pathway through this process. I'm mostly going to be sticking to things that I have experience with, but even if I don't have experience with things, I'll hopefully have links and resources. I've obviously done a lot of research on this over the last 5 years. So hopefully if I don't have experience with something, I'll have something linked down below that can answer your questions. So since that sounds like a lot, let's jump right in. Step 1 is write your book. Now, obviously this video cannot possibly cover all of the tips and tricks that I have for that, but if you would like any videos about that, please comment your questions down below. I would love to make a writing video, I'm just not sure where to start. But before you proceed with the next steps on your self-publishing journey, you should at least have your book written. Moving on to step 2. Pick your self-publishing house. Now, I'm sure there are a wide variety of options out there for self-published authors, but what I am most familiar with is print-on-demand services. And the 2 that I've used are IngramSpark and Amazon. As of the uploading of this video, both are free to upload to and seem pretty comparable in quality. I recently got a fresh batch of author copies from IngramSpark, and I think they pop just as much as their Amazon counterparts. The colors might be a little bit different, but ultimately, I think the quality is just as good between the 2. It would be very easy for me to get these mixed up. There are, of course, differences, the first 2 of which are interlinked. First of all, Amazon just offers more money to authors. They offer you a higher percentage of whatever the difference is between your list price and your publishing price, meaning you get more money per book that you sell. I'm sure there are a lot of reasons for this, including that Amazon does a lot of their selling on their own platform, so any other costs associated with that aren't there. But the big reason is because of the next difference between Amazon and IngramSpark: expanded distribution. Expanded distribution is basically selling on places that aren't just Amazon. If you only self-publish on Amazon, you will still see your books listed on, say, Barnes & Noble, but if someone goes and buys your book on Barnes & Noble, Amazon still has to print it and ship it. And the same thing with IngramSpark, except as far as I know, IngramSpark doesn't really have their own customer-facing website where people can buy directly from them.
Future Shayna here. IngramSpark doesn't have a marketplace, but it now has the ability to generate links that you can post on your social media or website, and users can click on those links and buy your book directly from IngramSpark. What's fascinating about this is this lets you get a higher compensation from IngramSpark than you get from Amazon. This is a new feature. I haven't had a ton of time to explore it, but I'll link it below and let me know in the comments if you check it out yourself.
Because Amazon touts these huge royalty percentages for authors, their expanded distributions are still pretty expensive for the retailer. And if you're a first-time self-publishing author, that might not be a big issue for you. But for me, I care about this because I really care about independent bookstores. And independent bookstores kind of just can't afford to buy books directly from Amazon. For me, as someone who's working on my 4th book and maybe eventually my 5th and 6th, I really want to make sure that I can have a good relationship with independent bookstores and that they know that they can actually carry my books. And that's where IngramSpark comes in, because IngramSpark offers a wholesale discount, which makes it a lot easier for independent bookstores to buy my books. The other huge benefit of IngramSpark that I cannot overstate is pre-orders. Amazon does not allow you to pre-order paperback books, at least as of the publishing of this video. With IngramSpark, it basically happens automatically as long as your publishing date is in the future. Once you click submit, anyone can pre-order your book. Amazon does let you set up a pre-order for ebooks, which is really cool, but in my experience, the people who are going to want to pre-order your books are your friends and family, and if you're really lucky, fans, and they're going to want a physical copy, not an ebook. The good news is you don't really have to choose between Amazon and IngramSpark. You can upload your book files to both and just not enable expanded distribution on Amazon. That way, Amazon takes care of itself, IngramSpark takes care of everyone else, and you are good. Now we're on to step 3. Creating the interior. I know that step 1 was writing your book, but that doesn't mean it's ready to go out into the world yet. There are many sub-steps to take for the interior of the book to make it publishing ready. First step, step 3A, editing. There are several different types of edits that you might want to have on your manuscript. The first step is structural editing. An editor will come in and tell you whether or not the scenes make sense in the order that they're in. This might be something you want to do before you've moved on to the self-publishing process. Second is a line edit. This makes a lot more sense to have at this phase in the book. I actually just finished my own line edits. A line editor is someone who will go through your book looking for things like grammar, commas, em dashes, capitalization of proper nouns, things like that. A line editor can be the difference between your book looking professional or not, regardless of the plot or characters or writing style. The third type of editing you might want to look into is a sensitivity edit, which I also finished earlier this year. If your book deals with any issues that might need to be handled with some sensitivity, say issues that affect the LGBTQ+ community, you might want to have an editor who specializes in those issues take a look at your work and make sure that everything is being handled with respect. And if that sounds scary to you, be sure to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you can find out in my next video about working with a sensitivity editor and why it's not scary comes out. Step 3B. Formatting. Now, as I'm sure you know, a book is not just a Word document shoved into a cover. It's a lot of formatting stuff, page numbers, chapter breaks and headings, fonts, copyright, dedication, all that jazz. Obviously, if you were going through a traditional publishing house, you would send off your manuscript and they would take care of all that stuff. But you're self-publishing, so you have to do it yourself. Luckily, there are a lot of tools available that are helpful for this. I haven't done it myself, but I believe that Kindle does allow you to just upload a Word doc and they'll help you take care of formatting it into an interior, which is, cool. I've also heard of a YouTube tutorial about turning a Word doc into PDFs, so I'll link that below. There's also Vellum, which takes care of a lot of the heavy lifting on its own, but unfortunately it costs like $200 to format something, which isn't my jam. What I use is Scrivener. It is a really good writing tool for more than just compiling, and I've started using it for my full-length novels as well, but that's not what we're talking about right now. It does a really great job compiling. It has a preset format that you can modify yourself with your fonts and what you want in the upper right-hand corner of every book, all that sort of stuff. The program itself costs about $50. It might be a little less with a student discount or a little bit more without it, but that's a one-time fee and you can compile as many books, manuscripts, plays as you want. It's extremely flexible. I highly recommend it. And if you want a tutorial on that that's more in depth than the footage I'm showing, comment below and I'll make one because I find compiling kind of fun. When it comes to the copyright page, I do what I read about in a blog post 6 or 7 years ago. I'll link that below too, as long as it still exists. And basically, I copied the wording from an existing traditionally published book and just changed all the information to mine. And I credit my cover artist. Speaking of which, step 4, creating a cover. Great transition. Okay, I always hire an experienced artist, maybe not a cover artist, but an artist. For me personally, I wanted all of my books to have different styles because I knew it was going to take me a while to finish this series and I didn't think that like my first cover artist would stick around for all of the books. And I think that's really fun. I make sure that the font, the Tales of Mundane Magic title stays consistent, as well as the cover type and the dimensions, excluding the width. My tips for finding a cover artist are find someone on social media that has a consistent style that you like and you won't be trying to force them out of their style to do a cover. Check to make sure they have commissions open and then contact them using whatever method they request, whether that's email or DMing, a website form sometimes. Make sure that you have a set budget in mind that you're willing to pay, and if they exceed that, don't ghost them or try to get them to lower their prices, but basically say, I'm sorry, you're out of my budget. Always pay artists what they are worth. And credit them in your copyright page. If you can't afford to commission an artist, there are still tools available to you. Nowadays, Canva is really great for graphic design. Amazon also offers a free tool for creating your own cover that I accidentally clicked on, and it looked interesting. Something that I should mention for both cover creation and interior formatting is that I believe there are professional services that will take your manuscript and work with you to develop a cover and interior for you. It just costs money, of course. Regardless of who's making the cover, you download the template from your self-publisher of choice, either Amazon or IngramSpark, and make sure you follow things like the bleed and where the spine is going to go, things like that. Fun fact, the reason you need to have the interior done before the cover is that the width of the spine is going to depend on the number of pages that you have, which you know when you formatted the interior. Step 5, ISBNs. ISBN stands for International Standardized Book Number. I got it right. It's basically a unique identifier for every book. Every version of your book needs to have a different one, so if you're doing paperback, ebook, and hardback, each one of those needs an ISBN, so that's 3. Amazon offers free ISBNs, but the ISBN is still owned and credited to Amazon, and I'm not a lawyer, I don't know anything about copyright law, but that just gave me a bit of the heebie-jeebies, like, oh, does this mean they own the copyright to my work? So I bought my own ISBNs from Bowkers, which is the US ISBN broker. I believe it's different for every country, so you'll have to check it out yourself, I'm sorry. I ended up buying a bundle of 10 because I knew that I was self-publishing several books, and now that I'm doing the math in my head, I'm realizing I'm going to need to buy more more. If you buy them in bundles, then they're cheaper from Bowkers. Ingram Spark does offer discounted ISBNs for $85 a pop. I think that's cheaper than just buying one on its own from Bowkers. I'll have the numbers here for you. One thing you might want to keep in mind when buying your own ISBNs is that you're going to have to provide a physical mailing address. I was once advised to not have this be my home address because it might be published somewhere where someone could look it up, so I actually buy a PO box, which I'm going to do today after I film this video. Anyway, next up is proofs. So you've uploaded all of your files to your self-publishing house and you want to know how they look in real life. So you order proofs. A proof is like a rough draft of your published book. It lets you see things like, oh, my font is too big, or the barcode is covering up something important on the back of the book. I keep basically all of my proofs. So here is the proof that I got. You can say it says do not resell, and then here's the real version. So down here's the proof, up here's the real version. It looks pretty similar. Now, if you can't afford to pay the publishing costs, or you just don't have enough time between when you have your files and when you want to be releasing your book, both Ingram Spark and Amazon give you digital proofs. You either see all the PDFs and you sort of like scroll through and see, oh, okay, this is what it will look like on the page, or in Amazon's case, you actually like flip through a digital book, and that gives you a really good sense. You still don't see how the colors look, or like if you want a glossy or a matte cover, but it's still better than nothing. Step 7, copywriting. The last thing that you should do before publishing your book is copyright it. I'll have the US link for copywriting down below. Read the instructions there. I'm not a lawyer, but if there is one thing I know, it's that you should protect your work from people trying to steal it. If you're going to spend real money on one thing, let it be this. Step 8 is publish your book. Yay! Congratulations, you did it. You hit that publish button and now your book is out in the world and everyone's going to read it. They just have to know it exists first. The last step is marketing. Do you like my shirt? There are a ton of resources online about how to market your book, videos, blogs, podcasts, so I'm just going to say what I think I have to add to the situation. The first is just kind of a reminder that the numbers don't really dictate how good your book is. I definitely don't have amazing sales or anything. Like I still don't get the money back from my Amazon ads, but a lot of times I'll have kids or even people my own age who read and love Tales of Mundane Magic, and I just feel so honored every time. Literally, one of my best friends I met because she was an early fan of my book. And that leads really handily to my next tip. In my experience, the best way to market a book is to build connections. And I don't mean the really fake networking kind of way to make connections, but genuinely finding other creators and seeing how you can help each other. I'm still in contact with a lot of my cover artists, even just on social media. I regularly play online board games with the first ever podcast that I did an author interview on. I still remember a lot of the people that I worked with at the independent bookstore in San Diego where I did my first book launch / signing event thing. And I know that in the future, if I'm lucky enough to have a book tour, I'm going to stop there. So when it comes down to it, my advice for marketing is to just share with people that you love the thing that you've made and hope that you're lucky enough that they'll share what they made with you too. On that note, Tales of Mundane Magic Volume 4 is available for pre-order right now. It is honestly the best book that I have ever written, and I am so excited to finally be sharing it with you. I've been working on it for a very long time. I honestly believe that you don't need to have read the previous 3 volumes in order to enjoy Volume 4. In some ways, it might actually be better to come in without expectations. Tales of Mundane Magic is a short story series that asks the question, what would a modern technology-filled world look like that just always had magic built into it? It is fun and funny and wacky, a little weird, but no matter what, it's a good time, and I think it would be really wonderful to share with you. If you're interested, please click on the pre-order link below. Paperback, ebook, really it's all the same to me. I just want to share what I create with the world, and this is another way I get to do it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it taught you a lot of what you need to know about self-publishing. If you have any more questions at all, don't hesitate to leave them below. If I don't have an answer for you, I will find one for you. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers!